Man, you see what's going on in Washington, D.C. these days? That place is definitely a political swamp. You're starting to hear things coming out of Austin that just makes me wonder. If Texas gets its independence, how are we going to prevent the same thing from happening here? I mean, what's to keep us from getting electoral dysfunction?
One of the main issues driving Texans to seek independence is how dysfunctional, and in some cases, downright dishonest, our legislature in Washington has become. A recent Pew Public Trust survey puts it pretty plainly. Public trust in the government remains near historic lows. Only 17% of Americans today say they can trust the government in Washington to do what is right just about always, 3%, or most of the time, 14%. A June 2019 University of Texas Tribune survey said about the same thing. Only 24% of Texans hold a favorable view of the federal government. However, sometimes things happen even in Austin that make us want to question if that's just the way it is in politics. While corruption in politics is something we always should be on the lookout for, there are several factors that weigh in favor of an independent Texas. Something that's not well known is that a majority of legislation in Texas is driven solely by the federal government. Surprised? In the last session alone, nearly half of all the bills filed in Texas directly referenced federal law, federal regulations, federal agencies.
Well, howdy, everyone. It's me, Daniel Miller, and it is time for our weekly late night, I say late night, latter part of the evening coffee talk, right? It's where I take a break from working and get with you guys and just have a little time to decompress. And man, we've done this for a while now, like every week, missed a couple, right? During the campaign, couldn't help it. I think one week we had a technical glitch, whatever it was. I am here with you right now, and we are going to do a little decompress, right? This is Cash. Now, just a quick bit of housekeeping. Number one, those of you who are used to getting really quick responses on chat, Kara is out feeling ill tonight. She's not feeling well. So I am rolling solo. It's old school, right? Which means that all of this stuff over here on the right-hand side of my screen is going to be very tiny. So I will get to it as I can. But as always, you guys are going to drive a good bit of what it is that we're doing here. Your questions, your comments. Definitely got some things I want to talk about tonight. But in the meantime, just a reminder, if you're watching on either of the YouTube channels, mine or the TNM's, chat is active there. Be sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time we go live. And of course, on the TNM's YouTube channel, Super Chat is live. So if you'd like to make a contribution to the organization, you can do it there, or just go straight to the TNM website at tnm.me/donate. And of course, if you're watching on any of the Facebook pages, you like and share and comment. And of course, if you comment on the pages, it shows over here, not in the groups, but over there. And same thing for Twitch. If you're watching on Twitch, it's there. If you're watching on Roku, there's no way for you to chat, but thank you for watching on our Roku channel. And this will be posted to Rumble. I'm not sure if it's going live this week or not. What do you do, right? It's just so much you can do. This is supposed to be decompressed. This is not a show. Although it has a title and a description, it is not a show. Man, I already see questions coming in, and that's good. That means that my glasses are clean and the screen is large enough for me to see. And I see some mentions already of Seth Keshel. We're going to talk about election integrity a bit tonight. But I got a very special request of something to talk about tonight, and I am going to use that as sort of the main topic for tonight. But before I do that, tonight's coffee, right? These are not sponsors, right? This is not a show, so I'm not sponsored. But this is Texas Freedom Fuel from Black Rifle Coffee Company, sent to me by someone who is probably in chat right now, Bad Brad, and he sent this fantastic, this lovely note. This is what he says. He says, I hope this is James. He says, I hope all is going well after the election. I enjoy watching Coffee Talk on YouTube every Wednesday. I go by Bad Brad on chat when you see my questions. Well, I know how much you enjoy drinking coffee and went out to the Black Rifle Coffee Company in Temple, Texas, and got you a bag of Texas Freedom Fuel. This is some great tasting coffee, and I like the bag design to show some good Texas pride. Hope you enjoy the coffee and be watching you on Wednesday. All right, Bad Brad or James. Feel like we're on a first name basis. This is what is in my cup tonight. Thank you very much. And just to show you guys how serious I am, like people ask, like, how much coffee do you actually drink? I'm almost embarrassed to say how much coffee I drink, but I've got it in the cup. And just so I don't run short during the broadcast, I brought the carafe. So, we could be in for a marathon session tonight. Who knows, right? Wow, man, I see chat rocking and rolling. Well, anyway, let's get down to the special request. Okay, there has been a ton of questions. Obviously, man, that is a really good cup of coffee. There has obviously a whole bunch of our volunteers, and I know this happened at the tail end of the campaign, so I wasn't really up to speed on the effort that was going on, but the TNM had tasked volunteers with going to specifically the if we're voting in the Republican Party primary, going to the precinct conventions and filing a resolution to make some changes to the party's platform to basically strengthen the plank that they have calling for Texas independence. And there's a lot we could talk about. If you want to talk about the history of how that went down, we could talk about that. But there was Stacy had asked me when this event was posted on social media, asked if I would talk about and give people tips, because this Saturday, excuse me, this Saturday, those that did not have precinct conventions already will be having precinct conventions and then rolling right into the county conventions or the Senate district conventions ahead of the state convention that's coming up. Now, many people don't know this fact, but the Republican Party of Texas state convention is the single largest political convention in the world by delegate count, right? I mean, it's massive. You go there, there's about 9,000 delegates that go to that thing, and it is a monster. And so much of the work and the policy direction that happens over the next legislative session is allegedly supposed to be set there. So, there's a debate that could be had over how much attention the politicians play, how much attention the politicians pay to the party and the platform. But they to a certain extent, it does make a difference. And again, you could debate what degree of difference that makes, but the fact of the matter is that it's something you got to do, right? So in 2015, when we ran the beta test for the TEXIT petition effort, that culminated in basically a convention play, right? We tried to get the resolution on the ballot through the State Republican Executive Committee. They wouldn't do it, so we ran the convention play. We did what was called the Precinct Project, where we encouraged everyone to take the resolution, go to the precinct conventions, then fight it out through the county conventions or SD conventions, and then on up to the state convention. And in 2016, it culminated in a much publicized floor fight. As a matter of fact, I'm looking in chat and I see Regina Ross there. When the political establishment pulled some chicanery and thought they knocked us out of the boat, we threw a bit of a flea flicker at the last minute and wound up getting the resolution debated on the floor of the convention in front of thousands of delegates and in front of media from all around the world. It's well documented. If you go to the TNM's website, you can see it there. It was all over the media at the time, and I can remember a quote from one of the articles. One of the sort of left-leaning reporters that was there made the statement, I looked up and realized, oh my God, I'm standing in a room full of thousands of people who want Texas secession. you know, and it sort of echoes the sentiments. I don't know if you guys caught the Dallas Morning News interview that dropped on Friday, but we need to get that posted on the website, by the way. But it's out there, and it was not just in the Dallas Morning News; it was everywhere. And the reporter during the interview expressed his shock and amazement that, there were this many people, how mainstream this issue has become and how they have ignored it for too long. And I couldn't disagree. I told him it was not our fault. Don't talk to his colleagues. They're the ones that are spiking the stories. And yes, I don't know who that is who just asked that in chat, but yes, that is a replica of Negan's bat from The Walking Dead. So my kids know me. Okay. So anyway, long story short is that the convention play is happening right now. And so Stacy hit me on social media ahead of the conventions this weekend, and I see Carlton talking about how he never got papers or anything else. Some of these county parties are pulling a bit of a flea flicker. Like even here in my county, in Jefferson County, I never saw the information posted, right? Never saw notice. I actually had to find it on social media, and I had to dig for it to find out when the precinct conventions were. And they're doing a combined thing like many counties. They're doing that. They didn't do precinct conventions day of the vote. Like typically in years past, they would do them on election day in your precinct, in your voting place, and then you would have the county convention later and it would be announced, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the counties are doing this combined thing where they're doing the precinct conventions Saturday morning and doing the county or SD convention in the afternoon. So, honestly, when people talk about, after what I've seen the Republican Party of Texas do and what I've seen during this campaign, when people talk about, if they say that the TNM is ever disorganized, let me explain something to you. Compared to the RPT, we're the Roman army. We're that organized, right? I mean, yeah, we all have our challenges, but in comparison, we're there. And look, I can't say that maybe some of this stuff is not on purpose, right? They want to knock newbies out of the boat. So I'm not saying that's in every instance, but I'm saying that there may be some of that kind of motivation there. But as I said, Stacy had asked me to talk about just some tips and kind of get folks in that mindset that are going to do battle over our resolution this Saturday. And I can tell you, as someone who has fought this since 2016, I was a state delegate in 2016. I was one again 2 years ago, and I may or may not be one this go around. I don't know how that's going to shake down, but I've got more than a little experience in dealing with these particular issues. So one of the things I'll share with you before we get started is the fun thing, right? Many of you may have seen me post this on social media today, but this was a throwback to actually the county convention that we did here in Jefferson County back in 2016. And this is an article on the TNM website, and it talks about pretty much the debate that happened over the TNM's independence resolution. And I wanted to kick off with this to show you that, yet again, the arguments that you get from the opposition or from the weirdos, you're going to hear every one of those. If you haven't already heard it at a precinct convention, you will hear it you'll hear it there. You'll hear it at the county or SD convention. It's always the same thing, right? The arguments are always the same. It's treason, it's sedition, it's all of that kind of stuff. And so this literally happened. This story right here happened to me personally. We were at the county convention here in Jefferson County, and this guy got up, and he was a little bit of a crybaby. I mean, he was a whiner, and he got up and he said that the resolution would be akin to. He said that supporting this was sedition. Right? He didn't say it was like sedition. He said it was sedition. And I know our friends over in New Hampshire will appreciate this argument because they literally heard a state rep get up in one of their committees over their independence bill, and he called it sedition and basically threatened everyone there that if they supported it, they would be arrested for sedition. And so, as a delegate, I was furious, right? Because sedition is a crime. If you go into federal law, you will find sedition listed as a crime. Okay. And so, I look at equivalence, right? It's very much like when I look at Article 1, Section 2, and it says that the people have at all times the inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such manner as they may think expedient. It's an inalienable right. And so I like to look at equivalence, and I think about things, and I challenge people to think about things with those equivalents, right? So in the Article 1, Section 2 instance, that right of self-government, I encourage people to think of other rights that they consider inalienable. For example, the right to keep and bear arms. Okay, so if an elected official or anyone else tried to deny you the inalienable right to keep and bear arms, or to your freedom of speech, or to worship any way that you wanted to, you would freak out, right? Well, you have to think about when they deny you the right of self-government, that right of self-determination. You have to think of it in those exact same terms, right? Denying us the right to self-determination, self-government is like they kick in your door to come take your gun. That's what it's like. Okay. So you think about equivalence like that. So in this instance, when I don't know how to describe the guy other than maybe a patchouli. He smelled like patchouli. He probably smelled like patchouli and listed barista on his resume. Nothing against baristas. It's coffee talk after all, right? But he gets up and he says it's all sedition, right? Anybody who supports this, it's sedition. And so I got up and I called a point of order, right? Because if you're going to stand up there and you're going to accuse me of a crime, right? Because sedition is a crime. Think about when they say that this is sedition. Exchange sedition for murder or robbery or rape or what? It's a crime, right? And it's not like a little crime. Sedition is a big crime according to federal law. So to get up and accuse everyone who supports this of sedition is essentially saying that we are all criminals. And so I got up and called a point of order, which goes to the first point that people need to understand, is that while your precinct convention might have been a little loosey-goosey because they gave you a script and almost no one was there, county and SD conventions up are going to be run by Robert's Rules of Order. So if you don't know Robert's Rules of Order, you better get super familiar with them. And I'll tell you, it's not that hard. You don't have to go read the big book and understand all those things. There are some key things about Robert's Rules of Order that you're going to want to know, like points of order. When somebody breaks decorum or breaks the rules, call a point of order. Or if you have a question about procedure, you can call for a parliamentary inquiry. Or if you have a question for somebody who's speaking, you can call a point of information. If the chairman makes a decision, that you think was a bad call, you could call for a reconsideration of the decision, right? So there are some 2, 3, 4 page cheat sheets for Robert's Rules of Order, and if you want one of those, just drop me an email. You know my email address. It's daniel.miller@vtnm.org. Drop me an email, and I'll make sure you get a link. But anyway, understand, you can just go Google it, man. That's what I would do. Just go into or your search engine of your choice, right? I don't want to get a bunch of hate mail because I said Google, but go to the search engine of choice and find a cheat sheet for Robert's Rules of Order, right? And you will find all the things you need to do. So in this instance, because my understanding is this scenario played out in many, many of those conventions the last go around, I got to call a point of order and demanded an apology because it was a personal attack, right? He accused me and everyone else of being criminals, and I'm not going to put up with that crap. You don't get you want to call me names, that's fine. We'll go toe to toe on that, but you don't get to call all of our supporters, a bunch of criminals, and expect me not to say something about it. So I called a point of order, and so it was interesting because after I challenged him on that, demanded an apology for calling us all criminals, the resolution was put to a vote and it passed. By a large margin, it passed. But then, as they are wont to do, they decide to call this little flea flicker play and introduce their own resolution, right? And in his resolution, it called for adding a plank to the platform saying that withdrawing from the union was sedition. It's like we just covered this crap, right? I mean, we literally just covered it. Now he wants the entire party to do it, and I was sick of it. And finally, what I said was, and the quote is here, right? I'll highlight it for you. I said, if this gentleman truly believes that we are guilty of a crime, then a resolution is not the best avenue to deal with this matter. If we are committing a crime, call 911. And you know what? He sat down, he shut up, and his resolution went down in flames, right? So understand that if you maintain decorum and you demand decorum, and in this setting, you go lay it out in ways like we're used to doing when we're talking to these opponents, when they talk about treason and all those things, right? Then you got an opportunity to go in there and turn some people and empower people that might be on the fence and might be a little bit nervous about it. Now, granted, I mean, when people get up and say that, really what I want to do is this.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
I mean, it's tempting, right? I mean, it's really tempting to respond in that way. But literally, you're just by standing up and being unapologetic and bold. And I'm not saying be an obnoxious jerk and scream at you, because the moment you break decorum, you're gone and you lose everybody, right? You got to be firm. Okay. So this gets me to really sort of the point that I want to make, right? Is when you're arguing these resolutions and you're talking about them, your best friend, if you want to make a point without getting up and speaking, which you probably are going to want to speak in favor of it, is what's known as a parliamentary inquiry. Okay, so you see it, you see parliamentary inquiries quite often, and parliamentary inquiries are typically addressed to the chair. The variation of this would be a point of information, which you have the ability, generally, if the chair allows it, to direct to the speaker, whoever's speaking. But you can literally, when they get up and they argue against, understand that you can ask this question: is the chair familiar with Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution? Or, as a point of information, is the speaker familiar with Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution? And they may give an answer, they may not give an answer, but you could phrase it in the form of a question. Yeah, I know it's very much like Jeopardy, right? But I would suggest being familiar with Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution. Variations of this, is the chair familiar that all elected officials take an oath to the Texas Constitution and to support Article 1, Section 2? You're kind of laying the groundwork ahead of that debate, ahead of whatever that argument is, right? So feel free to utilize this, but also understand that these three things, if you're going to argue or debate or support the resolution, beyond just sort of the core facts of calling for, the text of the resolution, getting it passed and what it says and all those things, these three things are super helpful in arguing for why Texas should have a vote in the context of a Republican convention. So first one is Article 1, Section 2, obviously, and all those things. Number two is when they talk about treason or sedition, but specifically treason, is the chair aware that treason is the only defined crime in the United States Constitution? Right? Establishing the groundwork for it to be a crime. Hence the little argument about, sedition, right? If even discussing this or having this is treason or sedition, which are defined crimes, treason being defined in the Constitution, sedition in U.S. Code. But if it is indeed that, then the most proper response to that would be to call 911, right? Where do you call when you see a crime? You call the cops. So that's what you tell them. And let me tell you, I have done this particular thing more times than I can count. Because if you see someone in the process of committing a crime, that's what you do, right? Call the cops. Hey, I'll wait, right? I'll wait. Go ahead and do that. But the other part of this is, and the third thing is something to understand, and this has been the culmination of many years of work in getting this done. Because many people, particularly some of these establishment types that do not read the party platform, don't realize that this exists. But it's plank 65 of the Republican Party of Texas platform, which says this. This is straight from the current platform of the Republican Party. And it says, pursuant to Article 1, Section 1 of the Texas Constitution, the federal government has impaired our right of local self-government. Therefore, federally mandated legislation that infringes upon the 10th Amendment rights of Texas should be ignored, opposed, refused, and nullified. Texas retains the right to secede from the United States should a future president and Congress change our political system from a constitutional republic to any other system. Well, guess what? This is literally what's in the Republican Party platform right now. An explicit declaration that the federal government has impaired our right of local self-government, specifically citing Article 1, Section 1, which those of you that are longtime TNMers know what that means. That means that the perpetuity of the Union is at an end, right? Because the perpetuity of the Union depends on the right of local self-government unimpaired to all the states, right? So it's already there. They've already declared that the Union is done. And it retains that right, and it gives some other things. And this is one of the reasons that we're pushing this resolution. And we can talk about how and when you're talking about arguing this, how this clarifies and strengthens an already existing plank in the platform, plank 65. And let me tell you something. Get ready, because there will be a movement afoot to remove plank 65, to pull that plank out. So get ready. For those of you that are participating in this, get ready for a fight, because they're going to want to jerk that thing out of there, because we are bludgeoning every one of these elected officials over the head with it ever since it went into the platform. Okay. So there's sort of your thing to remember. But, when you look at this, It's important to understand as part of maybe your debate, your argumentation, however you want to put it, um, this right here, right? Because a vote on independence actually supports other parts of the Texas Republican platform. And if you look at the preamble and principles of the Texas Republican platform, you're going to see three specific sections in there that this upholds, which it calls on the party to have strict adherence to the original intent of the Declaration of Independence and the United States and Texas Constitutions, preserving American and Texas sovereignty and freedom, and limiting government power to those items enumerated in the United States and Texas Constitution. So, a vote on independence or an explicit call for supporting independence is wholly in line with these things, specifically when they cite the Declaration of Independence, when they cite the United States Constitution and the silence on the issue in Article 1, Section 10, and the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, and Article 1, Section 2. And it definitely is falling in line with the preservation of Texas sovereignty and freedom, right? Because we're sovereign, Article 1, Section 1, and limiting government power to those items enumerated in the United States and Texas constitutions, which we know the federal government has not limited power to those items enumerated and therefore encroach on our sovereignty. And as a people, we have an inalienable right to alter, reform, or abolish our government in such manner as we may think expedient. So, as you get ready to go in and do battle at these conventions, understand that this is just a different setting for what you are already doing, right? If you're already a volunteer for the TNM or you're already a leader and you're already having these conversations, then this is just an extension of the argumentation that you're using. Now, remember, it's not this is going to be one of those kind of debates. It's not going to be the kind of conversation where you're trying to win support from somebody or answer their questions or what's going to happen to my social security, any of that stuff. Although suggestion, if you don't know the answer to that, go there, right? Or go to here. Either way, if people have questions, if people are going to have questions, be sure that you're ready to give answers to those. You're not going to be able to get up and give, flowery, eloquent speeches. Generally, they limit it to 3 speakers a side on any particular issue. And you get just, a handful of minutes. Sometimes it's 2 minutes. Sometimes it's 3 minutes. They could potentially limit debate. But I'm going to tell you right now that the experience that many of you had at precinct conventions, if you've already had them, is going to be very different than what you had at county and SD conventions, because county and SD conventions are the place where those people, the establishment guys that know Robert's Rules of Order, they pull the flea flickers, they pull the dirty tricks, they do all those little parliamentary tactics and tricks to get their way. And so I'm not telling you got to have a crash course in the next few minutes or whatever. But what I am saying is you got to be prepared to do battle with those guys. And here's what I'm going to share with you. In 2016, we prepared a convention training for all of our people who were going to be delegates. Okay. And it was a 1-hour training. It was a recorded training hosted by a former member. I think he was on the SREC, Jeremy Blosser. And we have made that available in the TNM Academy on the website. You must be a declared supporter, aka you must be able to log into the website to access it. But if you go to tnm.me/convention training, it will take you straight to the course. Go enroll in the course, watch the 1-hour video, and take plenty of notes. Okay. Because it will give you way more of a boot camp on the entire convention process than I can get into on Coffee Talk, right? It's really kind of the nuts and bolts of it. And Jeremy did a phenomenal job on that training. So be sure to head over there and enroll in that course, tnm.me/convention training. All you got to be is a declared supporter, which gets you a login to the website. and then head over there to that link, tnm.me/convention training. You can also find it when you're logged in under the Action Center. You'll find TNM Academy under the you look at the menu, you'll see Action Center. At the very bottom, you'll see TNM Academy. Go there, and you will see it in the list of available courses. So be sure you go check out that training. It is phenomenal. It is great. Okay. One last thing, because we're at the midway point. Understand this applies. And while this language comes straight from the Texas GOP website, specifically about precinct conventions, I'm going to encourage you to do this. Now, one of the things that they will be more than happy to flunk you on is a technicality, and they will try to convince you sometimes that technicalities are technicalities when they don't even really exist. So I'm telling you to prepare. So what you're going to want to do is, if this is a precinct convention, right? If you're doing the kind of the hybrid, if your county's doing the hybrid thing like Jefferson County is, be sure that you bring at a minimum 4 copies of the resolution. I will tell you that I brought 50. Okay. I'm not saying you have to bring 50, but I'm telling you I did, because one of the things that I wanted to be sure of is that I had not just an adequate number as required at whatever convention level, but I had enough to hand to people ahead of time and visit with them and identify allies, because that is going to be my last recommendation to you. Okay. And it's this, when you go to these, whether it's a precinct convention, once you get past precinct convention, it's going to be important for you at the county and SD level to identify who your allies are. So my suggestion to you is go early enough to introduce yourself, meet people, have something readily identifiable so that people know that you're a TNMer or in favor of Texas independence, whether it's wearing one of our Texas Independent shirts, or wearing the TNM member pin if you're a member, or a TEXIT Now sticker on some folio, whatever it is. But be readily identifiable to one another. And if you're going, try to connect on social media. Let us know. Go post it somewhere that you're going to be a delegate. But the point of the exercise is to immediately, when you get there, identify who your allies are, who is there at that level working with you. And you may have no one, or it may be you as the one that's readily identifiable, and a bunch of closeted TEXIT supporters that are just waiting for someone like you to stand up and speak up, right? What do we always say? Show up, stand up, speak up. Show up, stand up, speak up. That's what it takes. And be sure, if you have the ability to print out some TNM literature right from the download section, whatever it is, be sure to take plenty of handouts, or be ready to give people your link or connect with them, because you will even if you walk into that room as the only TNM person, if you connect with people and you make these arguments that we talked about, and you let people know that we're here and that you're there, you will walk out with brand new friends and allies. Guaranteed. It happens every single solitary time when you get into these places. So be sure to do that. All right. So that's midway point of the show. That's man, this is a show. Dadgummit. I said it was a show. It's not really a show, is it? So let me do this. I'm going to start taking some questions. How does that sound for y'all? Let me scroll down through here and see what I see. All right. Let's take some of the ones we got in early. Okay. Roosevelt Media News says on YouTube, with all of the businesses moving to Texas, how do we keep Texas red? I just want to keep Texas independent, right? That's what we're all about, and I think we have a reason to be concerned with a lot of these, specifically these Silicon Valley tech giants, moving people in. Now, hopefully, there is an ingress of political, cultural, and economic refugees that will offset that to a large degree, but it is of specific concern. Okay, so let's do this one here. All right, and I can't. JGD says, Daniel, we need to get serious about raising money. What are we going to do about that? We're doing it. We're doing it all the time. You know, we've always said, and it's actually in here in this book. Look, in comments, right, wherever you're at, if it's on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, if you have read this book, right, like recently read it, why don't you sound off? Sound off in there and let us know what your favorite part is and what you got out of it. But you know, look, we do this all the time. This idea of somehow, you know, we're not out here raising money. We're doing our dead level best, right? We make the links available. Go to tnm.me/donate, right? tnm.me/donate if you want to donate. But you know, we're not going to be probably ever funded by major money donors. Now, I'm not saying that that's not the case. There are some business owners out there right now that are heavily invested in major corporations that could make a major difference in the TEXIT movement right now. They could make a major difference. But it's important for us to be able to reach those folks, and they have to get out there and they have to make the donations. And look, if we have to nickel and dime this thing, it's going to take longer. But I'm going to tell you this: I would rather have 1 million people donate $5 million than one person write a $5 million check any day of the week, right? Because that right there is a show of strength. You know, what does Scripture tell us, right? Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also, right? And so, you know, that's always been sort of the encouragement. It's like, look, guys, I understand, but $5 is $5. $5 means, you know, being able to contact 5 more voters, or, you know, being able to pay for 10 minutes of the web server or whatever, you know. So $5 is $5. Go drop $5 in the kitty or more. You know, people, it's amazing to me the hate mail I get for people who talk about that, you know, all we do is we're just a bunch of money grubbers. It's like, dude, we're huffing on fumes, right? Every bit of what we do goes to the mission. And specifically, they love to target me, right? That's always my favorite slur, is that you're just living off of it. Guys, I don't know if you realize this or not. I'm a volunteer. I do not get paid by the organization. I don't get paid by the organization. In fact, just to give you some additional context, when the organization gets the copy of my book from the publisher, I use my author discount to get the book to the organization, which means when you buy it through the organization, I don't even get royalties on the book, right? So I'm not over here making money off the organization. In fact, I hold 3 different membership types that I paid for, right? I have a premium membership, I have a standard membership, and I bought a lifetime membership. And on top of that, I bought memberships as gifts for other people, right? So, you know, when I go travel, it's one of the things Nate always complains about is that, you know, because it's hard to track expenses for the organization, because I just put my gas on my credit card, right? Or on my bank card. I'm not charging the organization for my gas to get somewhere. It's just not the way it works. So, man, I get it, right? But if you've got it to give, please do so. Thanks for the question. All right. So here's a good one. I don't think it's all going to fit. Oh, yeah, it all fit on the screen. Okay. When Texas achieve independence, they will dissolve because there's not even a question mark there, so that goes away. All right, so let's see what else we got in chat here, real quick. Someone, yeah, that's not a question. Hey, and Nate, thank you for being in chat and handling some of these because I'm rolling solo and no one likes to jump on here. Thank you. I like this one here. Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I do use the flea flicker an awful lot. That is a football analogy, and anyone on the NLT will tell you I am quite prone to football analogies. What didn't hurt that my dad was a major football fan, and that one of my mentors in life in my late teens and early 20s was a guy who went from being a coach to being in financial services. So yeah, it's interesting. All right. Man, you guys are really tearing it off in there. This is great. Yeah, flea flickers, man. That's if you don't know what a flea flicker is, go look on YouTube. Go search on YouTube. Oh, they're conditioning me. Go search on YouTube for some video of a flea flicker play. It is pretty good information. It's good to watch. They're you know, I could say like the Statue of Liberty play, but I think the flea flicker is just a little more razzle dazzle. All right, a reminder since we're at the midway point here, if you've got anything, any questions you want to ask, specifically related to what we just covered, related to the conventions and the argumentation, or frankly, anything else, I'm here and I am willing to do this. And I'm flattering, man. How did I do this by myself before? Wow. Okay. Somebody says we are such as I don't even know. That's not. It's got to be. Remember, guys. It's got to be a. It's got to be in the form of an actual question. So, guys, if I don't get to your question tonight, you will have to forgive me. This thing, you guys are chatting it up tonight. This is definitely okay. Here we go. Look, I'll do this one. Beverly Alford says, Daniel, John Benton and I are hosting a TNM Happy Hour event in Houston on April the 24th at 1 p.m. Come join us so we can go nuts about Texas. All right. So you heard it. Yeah, which brings me to, let me do this too. I will go over here because you guys need to see this. Man, we have got, and this is phenomenal. We have got so many new local groups spinning up, and there's an article in the queue getting ready to hit, but I'm going to throw this at you real quick. Here's the events and meetings that are coming up, and I'm going to tell you, many of you have been asking and writing in, asking about, okay, look, what is our post-election plan? Are we going to deal, how are we going to deal with all of this, with what we found out and what we're finding out from the Election Integrity Task Force? And man, I'm going to tell you what, we are getting tons and tons of information in, always more. And I'll throw that slide up here in a minute so you guys can remember how to get in touch with us. But that being said, let me just say this, a key component of the plan to win this, right, to make sure that we don't have a year like we just had, is going to involve you and getting plugged in to your local groups. And if you don't have a local group, you got to get in, right? You got to jump in there and get it done. But we've got new meetups spinning up all over the place. Here's, one in Lufkin on the 24th. Here's Tyler on the 29th, Huntsville on April 5th. I mean, you could see this. There's tons of these things spinning up. But we've got local groups right now that are in the process of forming, and you need to be a part of it, right? And if there's not one in your city, you need to make it happen, right? You need to step up and be the leader that can make that thing happen. Like right here, see all those dots? Those are all local groups that are formed or are in the process, right? Look at all these cool people right here. People that have stepped up and said, you know what? I will put my name on the line, which is dotted, and I will be a leader. So, definitely. And there's places organizing right now in your neck of the woods. And if not, you can make it happen. You can absolutely make it happen. And if you don't find one near you, right there, right? But I'll share the slide with you really quickly, just so you will know where you can get that done. If you'd like to organize a local group, head over to tnm.me/local. That is tnm.me/local, and get plugged in, right? Be a leader. Be the leader that we know you can be. And incredible. Oh, look at that. People are already emailing asking for the cheat sheet. Okay, well, I'll get it to you. Okay, and as promised, if you have something to report to the new Election Integrity Task Force, boom shakalaka, there it is. If you've got any election irregularities to report, things that you have seen, we don't need rumors and hearsay and all that kind of random stuff. But if you've got something to report, drop an email to electionfraud@thetnm.org. That is electionfraud@thetnm.org. All right. I'm gonna leave that up. Hey, thank you, Roosevelt Media News. Thank you so much for your super chat. Here, let's show that on the screen. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Hey, thank you so much for your super chat. Yes, and I have. It has been called a colorful speaking style before. That has happened. But thank you for your super chat. And just a reminder, if you're watching this on the TNM's YouTube channel, you can head over there and drop a super chat. Right? Goes all that on the TNM's YouTube channel goes straight to the TNM. So be sure to do that. And I'm just going to ask you, watch on my channel too, man. I'm working on building up my viewer hours. So head over there. I need all the help I can get. Okay, here we go. This is Matt. Matt is saying, I'd love to get a TNM group in Tarrant County. I'm guessing that's Tarrant County Community College. Absolutely, reach out to us. We are working that program and would love to speak with you about spinning up a campus group. Look, we're organizing everywhere. If we want to win, this is what needs to happen. Now, I will say that I'm having a Zoom meeting with all of the field on Monday. I'm having a private Zoom meeting with them, and I'm going to talk about what's going to take place next. And the fact of the matter is that we still need people to stand up and lead, but even more important than that is we need people in these areas where we have leaders to step up, join groups, and volunteer. To get this done, it's going to take all of us, right? So be sure you plug into that. It's funny. I'm seeing in the chat, somebody mentioned Beverly Alford, and somebody asked me the other day, said, yeah, I haven't met Beverly Alford. I said, Beverly Alford is the one who's always on Coffee Talk and always wants me to say that Sam Houston didn't win San Jacinto with a bunch of cheerleaders. So, so it's one of those things. I'm scanning through here looking for here we go. This is a good one. Frank wants to know, do purchases on the TNM website go to spreading the word about TNM? Absolutely. At just about everything we do gets pumped into outreach at some point, whether that's when we did the billboard campaigns, we did the digital outreach, but all of that goes toward furthering the mission. That's where it goes. So, if you go to the TEXIT store, the TNM store on the website, when you make those purchases and get shirts and hats and things like that, that money all goes into the donation fund. So when you make a donation to the TNM Victory Fund, that all goes in the same kitty too. So thank you for the question. Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, I see some of these questions. Okay. Rose says the TNM blankets are awesome with coffee. Yeah, I just would look weird with a blanket right here, obviously. So, anyway, all right. Well, look, we're about 7 minutes to stop time. I've still got coffee, and I've already had to refresh it once. I mean, I got this carafe. This carafe is not going to drink itself, and I still got a ton of work to do. So we're gonna get ready to wrap this thing up. But let me just kind of step through these for you again, and let me just final word to everyone who is getting ready to go out there and duel it out in these precinct and county and SD conventions. Uh, Understand that you need to walk in there knowing exactly who you are. If they come at you, don't take it personally. Right? Let them take it personally. That they are on the losing side of history, and understand that you're coming at a position of strength. You have both the rational argument and you have the emotional argument. Man, I probably maybe this is something you need to sound off in the comments. Let me know. Do I need to do a class, like a workshop on how to debate TEXIT? Like how to argue and debate do we need to make that happen, like have a getaway somewhere, like a retreat and like a weekend long workshop where I just teach the debate techniques? Because if you want that, we can make that happen. I love that sort of thing, if you haven't noticed. So just understand, when you go in there, you know who you are. You know that you're on the right side of history. You know all the arguments. You know that TEXIT is legal, right? You know it's constitutional. You know, more importantly, it's moral, right? You beyond all the legalities, constitution, you know it's moral. You know that Texans are going to benefit. The only people that won't benefit are the political establishment that are leeching off of us, right? And the federal government, who are effectively doing the same thing, but everyone benefits, right? At the moment that we end federal regulatory accumulation, effectively everyone gets a 600% pay increase. I mean, it's just what, that's what happens. When we're no longer being crushed under the weight of 180,000 pages of federal laws, rules, and regulations, and having our lives micromanaged by 2.5 million unelected bureaucrats, then everybody benefits. Everyone. We restore the bridge from poverty to prosperity, that of entrepreneurship, by lowering the hurdles, right? We drain the swamp in the establishment in Austin, those little tin pot dictators who are trying to imitate the district of criminals, right? We all benefit. We get better government. So when you walk in, know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you are on the right side of history, and that you can articulate your argument without yelling, screaming, doing whatever. But also know this, is that when they, and in some instances it's going to happen, when they try to rob it from you, like doing something stupid, like, oh, well, it didn't make it through the resolutions committee at the county level or the SD level. You've got ways to make that happen. Go find out. There's always some kind of ridiculous draconian system you have to go through, but there are ways in Robert's Rules of Order to make it happen. And know this, is that with so many of you out there doing this, if you don't make it, somebody else likely will. And we know this because in 2016, what we saw our resolution hit the state convention. It was the number one or number two most submitted resolution to the state resolutions committee. I mean, it was massive. And so fight the good fight. Be who you are. And know this, is that we will always be better and smarter and more passionate than the opposition ever will be. And we don't have to pull sneaky parliamentary tactics and tricks, right? There's that football analogy story about the flea flicker and everything else. I don't have time, but if you remind me next week, I'll tell you the apples and bananas story. It's a football analogy, but it applies here, right? But it's apples and bananas. Just remind me, somebody remind me, apples and bananas. All right, let's step through this. So I already showed you this, but look, if you want to organize a local group, head over to tnm.me/local. If you want to see that list of groups that I showed you earlier, head over to tnm.me/local groups. My God, it makes total sense, right? And if you want to join this movement to go out there and actually, if you're part of them, if you want to go out there and help make this plan happen, make sure that we can have elections that we can count on. It's going to take thousands of us, right? I can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. It's going to take thousands of us, and the expectation is participation. I will. Do not make me break out the letter that was written after the Battle of Gonzales, because I will read it in total, but it is in this book and it is published on the website. Don't make me read it. I will shame you with the words of our forefathers. Don't make me do that. Instead, just go here, save us both some time, go to tnm.me/volunteer, tnm.me/volunteer, and get it done. Sign it up. And then, of course, if you're looking for other ways to do outreach, you can head over to tnm.me/action. You have to be a registered user, aka declared supporter, to be able to access this section on the website. But there are tons of tools that you can use to help promote the cause digitally, and share your link everywhere you can. All right. Excuse me. Lord have mercy. Got a little chest thing going on. But I'm better. Okay. All right. So let's wrap this thing up. I'm going to leave you, as I do every single solitary week, with the words that I was told not to use when I was on the campaign trail, but I used anyway. And I use them every week right here when I remind everyone of the words of Sam Houston when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now. And the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone.
Well, the people in power, whether red or blue, they could not care less about Texas, me and you. They created this give me country that don't value hard work. For a Texan to survive, all we need are some seeds and dirt. Texan, rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. Texan, rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country, for it's long gone. We believe in family and we value our community. Gladly lend a helping hand to a neighbor in need. And we don't believe that government should provide for all of society's needs. No, it's the pride of a Texan to give to others voluntarily. Texan, rise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. Texan, rise, don't you hear your call? Gotta save your country, for it's long gone. They like our tax dollars and they love our natural resources. They don't want to see us driving trucks, they'd rather see us riding horses. And now they want to ban our guns, you know, especially the ones that look scary. But may I remind you of the Gonzales Cannon and the Alamo heroes we buried. Texan, rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save our country, for it's long from the Texas Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 and 2. Look it up. Texas is an independent state, yet presently we suffer. We no longer possess the right to locally self-govern. And now it's time as a people in which all political power is inherent. And in such manner we find expedient, we reform or abolish our government. I said, Texas in a rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country before it's long gone. Texas in a rise, don't you hear your call? Got to save your country